Hello, 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 and welcome back to Just For Us. Happy New Year! It is January 1, 2021. Yes! We are out of 2020, and it can't help but go up, up, up. I have with me today Miss Danielle Peebles.
Hi, everybody.
She is makeup artist extraordinaire. She did my makeup for Saints and Sinners, the movie. Today, we thought we would bring her on. She is going to give us so much information. Let me officially introduce Miss Danielle Peebles.
Hi guys, hi everybody.
Tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, first, thank you for having me, Miss Donna. So, I am a professional television and film industry artist. I've been in artistry for a little over 12 years. In the production facet, maybe about 5 years. So I met, as Ms. Donna said, on set for the Saints and Sinners movie, and basically I just run different projects around Atlanta, participate in great movies. The behind the scenes girl. That's what I am.
She's fabulous. So I'm just going to start out just asking Danielle a couple of questions about skincare for women of a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
What should we be doing, and what should we not be doing?
Absolutely. So first, I think that we should be doing a lot of things concerning moisture. So we should be moisturizing and hydrating the skin, because when the skin ages, regardless of the age, we want to make sure that we're, conditioning it properly. I suggest a lot of great products with like hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid sounds scary, but it's not. Hyaluronic acid is an agent that is contained in a lot of beauty products, and it adds to the plumpness or suppleness. So hyaluronic acid.
Okay.
You want to be careful with retinols. A lot of people use retinols for anti-aging.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that you're hydrating with those as well, because retinols can be very drying. So don't be overzealous with them.
You may or may not know about this.
Mm-hmm.
What about treatments like Botox,
Mm-hmm.
fillers?
Mm-hmm. So it's a preventative measure.
So you really do have to be very, very careful with how you use it and who you go to.
Yeah.
We have got such a treat for you. I have come to you with a clean palette, and Miss Peebles here is going to demonstrate how to do a face too for your everyday, about the day. And then we're going to continue on, and she's going to glam me up, honey, because she had me looking good on Saints and Sinners. You hear me? So she's going to give you some tips on how to achieve some of those looks also, if you like being a little bit bolder with your look.
Glamorous.
Yes. What's first?
Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So we're going to start with our skin prep. I think skin prep is imperative to any look. So you want to make sure that the skin is properly hydrated. As you can see, Miss Donna just has beautiful skin anyway. So I'm going to use, this is Hydrabalance.
Okay.
So this has hyaluronic acid in it. So remember we talked about that. Hyaluronic acid is going to keep the skin hydrated and supple. It's very light. When you put your product on, skincare as well as makeup, you want to make sure you're placing your product with intention. And that basically means, it's going to save you time. Like some people will just put product all over the face, when versus if you conserve your product, or place it with intention, you're going to have more life with your product. Look at that already. Now, we're going to move on to eyebrows. So I'm going to be using a brow powder on Miss Donna, because she already has a perfect arch, and I don't want her brow to be too full or too robust. So we're going to use a powder. I just like using a powder on Miss Donna's brows.
Now, how do you know when you're using too much on your brows? Because I see some women where they have just gone way too far with trying to make them thick and full.
I think a rule of thumb, a really good rule of thumb, is following the natural shape of your brow. It's okay to embellish a little bit, but you know, making sure that you keep the brow integrity, which is, you know, keep the natural shape. So the side of her nose, it should be the start of her brow, and then, of her nostril. Top of her nostril is going to be the face of her brow. If I go to the side here, like the end of her nostril at an angle, this is what golden ratio is going to teach you. That's going to be the tail or finish of her brow, like where my brush hits here. And then if I go from the center of her nostril, this is where her arch should fall. Second part to your question, you made a good point about, you know, ill-shaped brows.
Yeah.
You know, it's really important, the framework of the brow, meaning when we outline it and get everything, like tie everything together, we want to make sure that we're using the proper colors. So you use something too light here or here, it's going to jump off. You know what I mean? Like it's going to distract you. You don't want your brows to be the first thing that you can see, right?
Right.
So that's what we want to do. So I'm taking an angle brush and I'm using dark brown powder on Miss Donna. So what I like to do is in the face or the front of the brow, so like from here to here, I like to use a lighter powder, and at the tail you like to use a deeper powder so it gives the brow some dimension.
Oh. Okay.
And then the angled brush, I take the product, I just use a little bit, you probably can't see it, but we'll try. This is the angle brush. So I take that, I use a little bit of product, and I like to be able to place it kind of like in hair-like strokes and just build the brow as I go. It doesn't take long, it just requires a little practice. So I want it to be lightly filled, and as I said, you want to mimic, like with the angle brush, you want to mimic hair-like strokes, because if you just apply the product, it's going to look like a block of color. Yeah. Versus it not having that kind of gradients that we want it to look like. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of concealer. This is the quick look. So if you're doing a quick look, you want to use a flesh tone concealer or foundation. Either way, doesn't matter. Alright, so I'm going to take a flat brush. It's just a regular flat brush. This is the Anastasia brush, but any flat brush will do. And what I like to do is I'm going to place my finger here so that I can see what I'm doing as far as her arch is concerned. So I'm going to take my flesh tone color, and also the reason why I use a flat brush versus an angled brush is because it helps with symmetry. So as you see, by me applying the product and kind of cleaning up her brow to make it really, really sharp. Alright, so that's basically, and again guys, this is one color that I'm, if they try this technique, which we encourage you guys to do.
Yes.
So if you try this technique and you master it, it's I promise it won't take long. Alright, so what I'm doing again is I'm placing the product, and less is more. Like a lot of people have a tendency to use more product, turn this over for me. Perfect. Than they actually need. So that's something that, you know, to preserve product, make sure that you're using the proper amounts so that you're not wasting product either. So I think that's a good deal. Brows frame the face, so it's okay to take a little bit more time on the brow, but the most important thing is just make sure that you're holding the symmetry. Alright, so now, and I brought this for you, so we're going to use a brow gel. Okay. So I want you to take a look and see the difference. So the brow gel also contains hyaluronic acid, so it's going to give your brow a plumping effect, meaning it's going to make it, it's going to give the illusion that it's fuller than what it actually is. So my next thing that I would like to do is, this is a trick that can be done. We're going to use, because in the trailer we have limited time, so we have to, you know, execute a full look in a certain time constraint. But I think it's important to use, we're going to put eye patches on you, and I think this is really, really imperative for skincare period, especially like mature skin, because not only is it going to, it's going to be a little cold, so not only, I'm going to place it down, this kind of got this little bitty eye, So we're gonna put it like this. We're gonna invert them. It's really important because if you want to keep this area hydrated, a lot of people have very, very sensitive under eyes. A lot of people are concerned about, you know, like discoloration. Sun has slight discoloration. Different products, especially under eye products, are going to help with fading that. So this has like green tea. Caffeine is something that, like, if people have issues with puffiness, caffeine is something that's going to help naturally depuff. It's going to keep the under eye very supple, very hydrated, because the skin, you know, underneath your eye is only about 1/4 of the thickness of your skin on the rest of your face. So while we're doing that, we're going to transition and keep prepping the skin. So we're going to go move on to the color of the skin, and then we'll take those off last. Okay. This is your baby. Remember her?
Yes, I do.
So we use Fix Plus. This is one of Miss Donna's favorite products to use. So it does a couple things. I explained to her that not only is it going to refresh the makeup and keep it looking hydrated, this is actually going to make the makeup look like skin. When you agree, versus it looking like cakey or patchy. So it's going to make it look like skin. So we're going to spray close for me. I'm going to spray at a distance. And you want to be able to spray it at an angle so that it fully saturates the skin. Alright, so then I'm going to also be putting, we're just going to transition into the foundation. So here's the key trick. I like to use 2 different foundations, or a minimum. You know, I told you to tell you this? Okay, so I like to use a minimum of 2 foundations or concealer. So I love to use beauty blenders on Miss Donna because her skin loves them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of her color, and I use CoverFX, which is vegan. Miss Donna likes vegan products too.
Yes.
So this is the product. It's called CoverFX Power Play. I use 2 shades on here. The one shade I use is in, which is neutral, 80. So that is her actual shade that's warmest to her. So the outer parameter, we're going to use 80. I use a sponge versus a brush because we're doing a daytime look, right? So daytime look, and what happens with the sponge is going to allow you to blend a little bit more seamlessly. Also, by being a sponge, it's not going to deposit a whole bunch of product, just enough.
I love the sponges. They make it a lot easier
to apply
and blend.
A grab and go moment.
Yeah.
And it still looks like skin, and that's how we want it to look. We still want it to look like skin. We still want it to be very warm and nice. And also, I'm applying the product with intention. Notice how I'm applying it and then blending it as I go. So this is the same color. So basically, wherever you see the warmer part, that's where I'm putting. So the outer parameter of her face is where I'm putting the product. And then I'm going to use the 70, which is the lighter product, or the product that's going to mention or mimic the inside of her face. That is when we'll use the lighter one. Turn towards me. Love, love, love. We're going to go back with our friend. And what I'm going to do is, close for me, I'm going to spray a little bit more. So again, a lot of people think this may be repetitive, but really it's not. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and remove these, but like I said, keep it going for about 10 to 30 minutes. All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take my ring finger and I'm going to tap the rest of the excess product underneath the eye, close for me, as well as on top. All right, so here's a trick that I wanted to, show you in your, you know this trick, well, your audience does it. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the deeper color, which is the N80 that I use around here, and I'm using just a pinch of that underneath here as an effort to color correct. So reason why we want to color correct with a deeper color is because we want to counter the deepness. So we're going to cancel this out, and I'm blotting. You want to have really good amount of pressure and just stamp it through. Turn a little bit towards me. Stamp it through. Okay, look straight ahead. All right, so now the fun part. We're going to go in with Miss Donna's actual, like the color for the inside of her face, which is the N70. And I'm gonna place a few little drops. Less is more, so we don't want to use a whole bunch of product. And again, this is our everyday look. Okay, so now I'm just going to, with really light pressure, I'm just stamping the product through. And be mindful when you're using a beauty blender or a beauty sponge, makeup sponge, make sure that you're not pulling too much product. Like, don't forget to pull back, because a lot of people will just, you know, press and drag, and you really want to just, you know, so that you can keep the product at, you know, on the surface without the product being absorbed into the sponge. You just want to make sure that you're using the right amount of pressure. I don't think it's wrong. Alright, so just really lightly, I'm tapping this in here. Now we're going to move into powder. But yeah, I think that is about why powders are really important and why powders aren't the bad guy. Powders are really, really good, but you have to make sure you understand the composition of the powder. So if we look, this is a warmer powder. And then this is something that we're going to use on the perimeter of Ms. Donna's face. So it has the product composition, so we don't want to use anything with talc. Talc can be drying, like very drying, make the face feel like, ugh. So we're going to take this and we're going to take a brush. And what we're going to do is the same method. We're going to sweep on the outer points of Miss Donna's face, and we're going to draw some color, wash some color in here. Just on the parameter. Turn a little towards me, perfect. Bronzer is also good too. And this is a soft powder. Again, it's not going to sit on her face. It's going to be really natural, really comfortable. Alright, so what I'm now doing is taking this is medium dark, which is a lighter powder, same method, just powder form. And I'm just basically placing this, like stamping it, close for me, stamping over Miss Donna's eyes. And I'm only applying this in the center. I'm going back with the same powder. This is the deeper one. This one's called dark. And for this look, I'm going to take a domed brush. And I'm going to take this domed brush and we're going to sweep the darker color right in the eye. And this is basically going to create an illusion that we have on eyeshadow. And we don't. So very nice look. Easy peasy. I'm applying this right in the outer corner as well as her crease. So the way that you can determine your crease is by like with Miss Donna right here, like where her dip is. So if you take your pinky and rest it like right on the outer corner of your eye, that should determine your outer crease. So I'm just going to take it, bring it over, turn towards me, same thing on this side. Take it, close, bring it. So now I'm going to take just a darker color from, this is just, you actually can use the same thing, blush palette if you want to, like a darker color there, or like a real rich color like this, really warm chocolate color. And same brush that I used in her brows, I've taken the excess product off on this paper towel, and I'm just going to take this, and what I'm going to do is, look down for me, I'm going to start in the outer corner. She said that she doesn't wear liner underneath, so let's see what it to look like. I'm going to buff it out a little bit more, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to take this and then I'm going to place my hand here. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a warm color, and this is a color called Chestnut. This is by MAC. It's a MAC lip liner, and I'm gonna lightly outline Miss Donna's lips, super lightly. I'm not using much pressure. I just wanna enhance the symmetry of her lip. Okay. And then we're going to use 2 products. Okay, so I'm going to take my synthetic brush and I'm going to saturate the lid. This is a satin color, but if you wanted to use, you know, something that if you want to throw a gloss on here, you could. If you wanted to make it a little bit more transitional. So this is just, you know, your preference. But I love a really nice nude lip too. That's for me. I'm going to go back in with the liner so I can frame it and so everything looks uniform and nice. So I'm going to go right through. And I'm going to have you press for me. Press your lips together. Perfect. They're pretty good too. So, let's see how it gives a little bit of sheen. This, and then just put it over. How do your lips feel?
They feel good.
Wonderful. And if you want to get super fancy, you can't complete your look without a blush quite naturally. So you want to be able to, this looks really good. So I'm just going to take a little bit, as this says bronzer, but we can use it as a blush.
Yeah, I love these colors.
Yep, so really muted. So I'm just going to take right at her cheekbone and I'm going to whisk the color onto the high points of our cheek, and again it's going to add a little bit of contrast right through here, lightly. I like that, it's beautiful. Turn this towards me. So same thing here, right on the high points of the cheek, and then we're sweeping kind of like in a upward motion. Alright, so we're going to spray one more time, and what I like to also do to reinforce the look is I'm going to go back in. I mean, look how pretty that looks. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to take a little bit with our sponge, our trusty dusty sponge. I'm using very minimal pressure, and I'm going in here and I'm just tapping the areas where I want it to be a little bit more uniform. Still want the skin to be fresh. Turn for me. This looks really good. So I'm just taking this brush and I'm just tapping through here. So again, if you want, it's 2 ways that you can do to, you can stop here if you want to, but if you want a little bit more coverage under the eyes, some people do, some people don't. If you want to pinch more coverage, 2 ways you can do it. You can go, I'm going to go back in with a deeper powder, and I'm going to take the same dome brush, very minimal. I'm going to press and roll under her lash line. Press and roll. So same thing here. So I'm going to press and roll.
And which color is that?
So this is the dark one.
The darker one.
We're writing all of it down. So this is the deeper one. And that's basically your first look.